Hello everyone, welcome to Winged Horse Designs. I'm Donna Goodwin. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in Brookings, South Dakota. Today I'm going to show you a fun technique with rubber bands, and I actually have an alternative card to show you with this as well. So I'm going to switch cameras and we're going to go ahead and get started. Alright, here's a better view of it. I decided that it's time for some plaid. I love plaid. I hadn't done plaid in a really long time, and it's super easy with rubber bands. So what I mean is gather up some rubber bands and wrap them around one of your clear blocks. Now in this case, I actually used my grid paper and I've lined them up almost evenly across my block, and I've made sure that they're smooth and no kinks in them. That's how I got my plaid. But you can also go with something a little more whimsical. And here I just have them wrapped around. There's no rhyme or reason to them. They're kind of all twisted up, kind of way twisted up. And I'll show you something that we can do with them all twisted up as well. I am using my current favorite stamp set, the Stampin' Up! Cheerful Daisies bundle. It comes with this wonderful stamp set with the daisies. Daisies happen to be one of my favorite flowers. And then it also comes with some matching dies. So you have some matching dies in here. I have some mask in here. Sorry about that I've created. But it comes with all these different dies, as well as these two dies here that I'll talk about in a bit. So I thought it would be fun to have a nice bright cherry color. This is one of the new colors that have come to Stampin' Up! This month. This is Azure Afternoon, and then the yellow is Lemon Lolly. It's a beautiful yellow. Sometimes the camera doesn't pick up the colors as nicely as I would like, but I'm going to set this over here in this corner. You won't need to write the measurements down. They are in the description, as well as a link to the supply list if you like anything in here and you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you're in the United States. I'd love to be your demonstrator. And there's also, if you're local to me in Brookings, South Dakota, there's a link to my calendar which shows you the classes that I offer here in the home. This measures 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. So I'm going to take my bone folder and give that a very good crease and set it aside. I'm using basic white, but you're going to want, give the camera a second to catch up. You're going to want something that's neutral. This measures 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches for my inside. Then I started with a second piece that measured 4 by 5 1/4 inches, and I cut it in two at 2.5 inches and 1.5 inches. So the 1.5 inch is going to go on this card, and this one is for my alternative card. And then for my sentiment, I have a piece that measures 1/2 inch by 3 inches. And then for my yellow piece, and then a piece of scrap for my flower here. And then for my yellow, I layered these two dies up together. This inside die does embossing and cutting at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and take it apart so that you can see it. But if you layer them together, and we're going to use this one again, you will get an outline piece, which I just chose to put in here because I thought that would be kind of fun. And I'm going to take my Take Your Pick tool. There's a brush that I could use, but this is a pretty big piece. So I'm just going to get it loosened up a bit here so that I can get it out of my die. It's been sitting in the die since yesterday, so they kind of like each other at the moment. But you can see that you have this embossed, oh, camera catch up, this embossed and cut at the same time. And normally you would layer this on top of another piece. And this may not be lined up just right, but you would layer this on another piece to give you even more detail, like I did on a card last week. So I'm going to set these two pieces aside, and let's go ahead and start our stamping. I'm going to stamp everything except the plaid first. And then come back and work on the plaid. So I'm going to start with Lemon Lolly. Bring in a bit of scrap paper here and some scrap cardstock. And with the background piece, I'm going to, it's a very light color, but I'm still going to stamp off with it anyway. I always forget because my desk mat is padded. You need something, either a magazine or some type of foam. This is our piercing mat underneath this when you're working with photopolymer. So I'm going to stamp this, and it's super light. Even I can barely see it. And I put one on the inside as well. So let's bring in this inside piece and do it at the same time. So I'll stamp off. Let's do that one. So we're done with that piece. I'm going to set it aside. I'm going to bring in the detail and stamp that one full strength. Now it may or may not line up, and I'll try to do this without getting my head in the screen. And even if I don't get it lined up perfectly, I'm okay with that. I don't know if you can really see it, but it's not lined up perfect, but I'm okay with that. And I'm going to do the same thing with this piece that we'll later cut out. There's actually, I'm looking for this piece right here because that makes it easiest to line up, I have found. And then I'm going to bring in the center and stamp it full strength. We'll cut that piece out. I'm going to bring in Azure Afternoon and stamp our sentiment on the inside. And I have chose Your Friendship Means Everything. And you don't always have to put everything at the top and in the center. And I've kind of gotten to where I really like the outside edge these days. So there's our inside. I'll set that aside. And I'm going to bring in our strip and stamp that sentiment as well. And for the front of the card, I chose You Made My Day. And if you're enjoying this content, please do like, comment, and share. It kind of gives me encouragement to continue doing this. I'm going to set that aside. I'm not going to close it up. So there are those pieces there. Let's go ahead and die cut this, and then I'll get to the part that you actually came here to see, and that is stamping with rubber bands. So I'm going to quickly die cut this piece out. This is the tricky part. Here, there we go. So we'll cut this piece out real quick. Also, if you like what you see that I do, you can find me on my website, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Instagram, all at Winged Horse Designs. And I didn't do a very good job with this because it slipped and fell, and you can't, or slipped on me, and I need to stamp this again. I should have used 2 pieces of washi tape. So let's just go ahead and do our flower again. It happens to all of us, right? Please say yes, it happens to all of us. Okay, I'm going to use 2 pieces this time, so it'll not slide around and stay where it belongs. There we go, much better. I'll set that aside. Now let's work on the part you came to see. You want to see, what am I going to do with these rubber bands? So I'm going to start with the plaid. Well, no, I'm going to make you wait on the plaid. We're going to start with the one that's all different directions. So I'm just going to ink up my rubber bands, and I'm just going to do them at an angle. I'm kind of pouncing on here. So there's the yellow. I like to start light color to dark color. So let's move that one away and start with our ones that I'm going to use for plaid. And I'm just going to come in right about, I don't want it quite dead center, so we'll go here. And then I need to extend that up. And it's not a perfect match, but that's okay. And it's not even perfect stamping. That's okay as well. I'm going to move those aside, and I'm going to clean up both blocks with the rubber bands on them. And I'm just going to take a baby wipe, and I'm just going to clean that ink off. And I'll do the same thing with the other one. And then let's move to our next darkest color, which is Pool Party. We'll come in with our scattered one. And again, I'm just going to ink up these rubber bands, and I'm just going to kind of pounce. I'm going in a different direction this time. Kind of adding in more blue, and you can see some of them come out thick, some of them come out thin. Now with the ones that I paid a lot closer attention and tried to keep them evenly spaced and straight, I'm just going to stamp them down, stamp some more, and now we'll go ahead and clean this one up and go to our last and darkest color, Azure Afternoon. So Lemon Lolly, Pool Party, so again, I'm just rubbing a baby wipe across. You could use any kind of a damp towel. If you have a towel that you keep around your craft room that you call your inky towel, that works too. I'm going to bring in the scattered one again. I think I'll go kind of this direction. And you can see that you just get scattered patterns no matter what you do. This very much resembles the marble technique that I did a while back, about a month, maybe two. Let's come back in and create a nice plaid. So if you don't have a stamp that creates a plaid, or you don't feel like trying to work with a ruler and draw straight lines, rubber bands work great. So now I'm just going to stagger these in between the other lines. And I have the beginnings of my plaid, and then I'm going to go ahead and go in between the two Lemon Lolly lines. And I have a nice plaid. I didn't have to go buy a special stamp that does plaids. I didn't have to sit there with a ruler and a marker. I could just wrap some rubber bands around and create a nice plaid. So let's go ahead and put our plaid card together, and then I'll show you the card that looks basically just like this, only done with the scattered pattern. So I'm just going to glue in my inside. Whoops, sorry for all that noise. It's about to start raining here today. So the lighting is kind of crazy. It's bright, then it's dark, then it's bright. And I'm just going to glue this to the left side. And I'm going to layer in my daisies. So I kind of glued this one behind this one. So I'm just going to put a few little drops of, whoops, not on my fingers preferably. Just a few little drops on this and layer them up behind this one. And you know what I did forget to do? I forgot to stamp the inside, the center of that flower. So we're going to try to recover and stamp it even though we have that outline piece in behind it. And that came out just fine. And then I'm going to glue this piece down flat onto my card. So I'm going to put little dots of glue on the outline, and then go ahead and put glue on this one. And then for this one, let's go ahead and change this up and kind of angle it a bit. We could turn it into more of a banner if we had wanted to by notching it, but I kind of like it this way. So I'm going to take this and I'm just going to kind of layer this over where the center would be, and I'm going to turn it upside down and use a dimensional to hold it all together. So this dimensional catches that part of the daisy, and I'll put one on the other side, and we'll put this on our card. It's a super easy card. Just using the layered pieces from the dies in a slightly different way by taking them apart. We'll put our sentiment on. We'll bring in some, they were just here. We'll bring in some solid gems. These come in lemon, lolly, boho blue, and pecan pie. I'm going to use the lemon lolly. So I'm just going to put a couple of those in on here. And there we have a finished card with a plaid background. And as promised, the piece that we were just doing scattered, I layered it exactly the same. The only difference between these two cards is one is a scattered design and the other one is a plaid design. So I hope you liked these two cards. They're fast, they're easy, using something you don't normally use. But if you don't have a stamp that's designed to do plaids and you don't feel like measuring with a ruler and using a marker, you can use rubber bands and you get kind of a slightly different technique. It's not perfect, it's not even, it's not smooth. So I kind of liked that idea. I hope you liked it as well. I hope you enjoyed this. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. I'll see you live on Monday right here at 10 a.m. I'm not going to be here at 10 p.m. I'll be here at 10 a.m. on Monday morning, 10 a.m. Central Time. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Happy trails.